Vendredi, la présidente von der Leyen recevra les membres du comité des représentants permanents des États membres auprès de l'Union européenne, ce que nous appelons le Coreper, pour un déjeuner de travail. Et plus tard dans la journée, donc également vendredi, la présidente va recevoir M. Marcel Ciolacu, le Premier ministre de la Roumanie. Voilà ce qui est pour l'agenda de la présidente et sur les annonces que j'avais à faire. Maintenant, je vais appeler Balázs sur le podium qui vous présentera une mise à jour sur notre soutien à la Grèce et à la Roumanie avec le mécanisme de protection civile de l'Union européenne. Balázs.
Indeed, so the Commission at this moment is coordinating relief efforts on various fronts via the EU civil protection mechanism across Europe. So most notably in Greece's Alexandroupolis region, we are facing the largest wildfire ever recorded in the EU. In this context, we have mobilized 12 aircraft from our rescue fleet, together with over 400 firefighters and 60 vehicles. Now, in addition to that, the EU's Copernicus satellite system has issued 20 maps of the affected areas as well. This mobilization, of course, comes on top of a large-scale operation last month in Greece, which saw the deployment of 9 planes, over 500 firefighters, and more than 100 vehicles, again, through the EU civil protection mechanism. Now, the mechanism has also been activated recently for another purpose, and that was because of our response to what happened in Romania, the explosion in Romania over this weekend. In that context, 12 severe burn patients were transported to a number of European countries, including Austria, Belgium, Germany, Italy, and Norway, and in this fashion we answered fully the request, the assistance request of Romania in this context. You will find more information on these topics in the Daily News.
Thank you very much, Balázs. And with this, I will be ready to open the floor for any questions that you may have. I will take you in the order that I've seen. Actually, you have a question for Balázs. So, Balázs, why don't you stay on stage? Balázs, the question will be for you. Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Back la grande rentrée à Bruxelles. I would like to know, in the beginning, the Commission announced regarding the EU civil protection to purchase more planes. Up to now, if I got it right, there are 24 planes available among 10 member states. Will you, in the light of the forest fires around Athens and Romania and other member states, reconsider to upgrade the power to protect the member states with more and more droughts in the light of climate change are occurring?
That's exactly what we are working towards. So at the moment, as you correctly say, we have 24 aircraft in what we call the rescue reserve. Actually, we have 24 airplanes and we have 4 helicopters, so 28 aircraft in general. So this reserve is a transitional one, and that's because we draw on existing capacities from the member states that we have in the EU, and the objective is indeed to have capacities which were purchased with EU funding, which are new and which come on top of the existing capacities. So obviously this is an area where production capacity is highly tied down, and it takes time to produce firefighting aircraft, especially Canadair. So we have a longer-term agenda here. We are looking at the end of the decade. So by 2030, we are working towards having a fleet of 12 new aircraft purchased with EU funding, positioned strategically across the EU to cover the different geographical areas. Now, let me give you a couple of insights into where we are in terms of realizing this project. So we already have 2 such aircraft, which we call, their type is the so-called Fireboss aircraft, which Sweden purchased with EU funding just, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago. So these are the first ones which have been purchased in the context of this new logic. And the aim is to move from 2 to gradually 12 by the end of the decade. And we are expecting the next aircraft to join the fleet by 2027, and then gradually by 2030 we will have the whole fleet of 12 aircraft, which again would then replace the transitional fleet and would not draw on existing capacities, but would include new capacities at the EU level. So that's the planning that we have at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions about the civil protection mechanism and the assets that we use to support member states. Go ahead, Mose.
And thank you, Bayas. Yes, I wanted to ask, while waiting for increasing this capacity and reserve of airplanes and so on, in the meantime, I mean, what about the member states' capacity? Are they sufficient, they say, for the needs now and all the wildfires in Greece and other countries? Can they be mobilized?
Well, we do know that fires are getting more severe. So if you look at the figures every year in the past years, we are seeing trends which are not necessarily favorable. And that calls for, of course, more capacities at the member state level, while we are able to build such capacities up at the EU level. And that's the reason why we are in continuous discussions and dialogue with our member states. And we have seen that there is more and more awareness of fires. There's more and more preparedness. There is more and more advanced planning, prepositioning, and that's something we are trying to do at the EU level as well. So this year, we are not only thinking in terms of a fleet of firefighting aircraft, but we've also prepositioned firefighters in 3 different countries, Portugal, France, and Greece, in anticipation of fires. So what we see is that there's definitely more awareness, there's more preparation, there's more strategic planning, and we think that it will be important to continue to do this going forward. But at the EU level, of course, we also want to do to play our part and build up such capacities, building on what already exists at the national level.
Thank you. Any more questions on this subject? I don't see that. So any other questions for Balázs as he's on stage? Go ahead.
Thanks. I would like to know what was done in the last weeks between Hungary and the Commission to save Erasmus Plus funding for Hungarian students. If you can elaborate on that. And also, I think we have 3 or 4 days left until the new semester starts. Is it still realistic to provide EU finances for the next semester? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, the situation hasn't changed dramatically over the past 4 weeks. The conversations and the contacts have been gradual and continuous between the 2 sides. I can essentially repeat what I said on previous occasions. The Commission made it very clear what would constitute a solution in this context, and it is for the Hungarian authorities to propose corresponding legislation that would tackle the problems that were identified by the Council in the Council implementing decision back in December 2022. Now, what exists at the moment is contracts that were signed back in the middle of 2022. These are contracts going for 2 years, so they go from July 2022 until July 2024. These are not affected by the Council decision. What is not possible, according to the Council decision, is to sign new contracts. So, for the moment at least, so these would be the contracts that would go from middle of 2023, so 2023 July until 2025 July. So, failing that, the universities concerned can only draw on contracts which already exist and which were signed in the middle of 2022.
Thank you. Any additional questions on this subject? Or anything else for Balázs? Not okay, so thank you, Balázs, and Lawrence will be next.
Hello, nice to be here. Does the European Commission believe that setting a target date for enlargement is a good idea? And if it does 2030 seem like a good date?
Thank you very much for your question, Lawrence. You know, first of all, that enlargement is a priority and a political priority for us. The President specifically has been saying in Brussels, as well as when visiting candidate countries, how committed we are to making the next waves of enlargement a success. We have always said that enlargement is a merit-based process, which means that candidates should join the European Union when ready. And this is an important factor in managing effectively the preparations of candidate countries. And as you know, we worked closely with the candidate countries to help them prepare and to implement the reforms that are necessary for joining the Union. But once more, for us, it's a merit-based process. follow up?
Thanks. So, I mean, Michelle's argument yesterday was that by setting a target date, you can get momentum inside the EU to address the problems. You can get the candidates focused on that date. You can get investment flowing. Is he just wrong?
Thank you, Lawrence. You know us well enough to know that we are not commenting on what partners or other stakeholders are saying. I can simply state our position and our vision of enlargement and how the process is best managed. And once more, the key word for us and the bottom line for us is that enlargement is merit-based and should stay merit-based. Any other questions on this subject? David?
Yes, thank you, Dana. Do you think that the EU is ready for the enlargement, or do you think that there should be some internal reform, even institutional reform or treaty reforms? And when the debate should take place, since the Commission should be normally the institution who propose these sort of things? Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. Indeed, enlargement requires both the candidate countries and the European Union to prepare. It would be improper at this stage for me to speculate or go more on the substance of such preparation on the European Union side, because, as you know, we are expecting to have such a debate at leaders level at the Granada informal summit convened by the Spanish presidency of the EU in the following week. So we expect that meeting indeed to be a fruitful highest political level discussion about indeed that aspect of enlargement, which is preparations on the European Union side. Additional discussions on this topic? Yes, go ahead.
Besides the stone which Charles Michel has hit in the water, I would like to know, do you already have a date when the Commission will come up with the progress reports of the candidates and the enlargement? It was foreseen in October. Is it already clear when it will be exactly? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Anna is signaling me that there is no date, no specific dates which was set, but indeed it's around October. Go ahead. I think it's Augustine, yes.
Yes, thank you. So what does the President of the Commission think about setting the dates? Because we have heard many statements, political statements, ideas, plans, plenty of anniversaries of Thessaloniki, Zagreb, Sofia, etc., but nothing concrete has happened in enlargement process in last several years, apart from giving candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova. So if I remember well, President also said that there is a need for new dynamic in enlargement, for something to happen, because Croatia became a member over 10 years ago. Since then, EU even shrinked with one less member, with UK leaving. So you are speaking about enlargement, but it's not happening. Would setting the date really encourage both candidate countries to speed up their reforms and fulfill the criteria, and the EU to prepare itself to absorb them?
Thank you very much for relaunching the question about a date. As I said several times already today, we are not focused on a date. We are focused on working very closely with the candidates countries to get ready for joining the European Union. We are focused on supporting them on the reforms. We are focused on the investments that are helping them transform their economies and get closer to the regulatory requirements that are important to fulfill before joining the European Union. So this is the answer on the question on a date. Again, enlargement is merit-based, and we hope that each candidate country will be motivated to implement the reforms and to be ready to accede at its own pace. Regarding enlargement, well, I would refer you to the very many acts and statements that we have been putting out since this Commission started its mandate almost 4 years ago. You know very well that beyond Ukraine and Moldova, the Western Balkans are a major priority for the European Union, clearly for the European Commission. You have been following the sequence of instruments that we have put on the table, some of them presented by the President, in order to both accelerate the level of ambition, both for regional integration and cooperation in the Western Balkans and for getting them closer to the European Union, even before accession, and as a third stream to support them in preparations for accession. So I think that this Commission has a very clear record in terms of making enlargement a priority and giving further impulses for enlargement, particularly to the Western Balkans, since you referred to it, in order to bring the region closer to the European Union and to reaffirm and strengthen their European path. Any other questions on this? Mose, once more. Go ahead.
Yes, a very quick follow-up on a previous question last Tuesday when I asked about the pre-detention rates in candidate countries, and I looked it up because there was some criticism against Albania by Greece about the detention of politicians there, as you remember. I just wonder if this issue, which also of course concerns the EU member states, if we will figure, let's say, in the coming progress reports. It seems that, for example, that Albania, of all countries, has the highest pre-detention rate, both when it comes in relation to its prison population, but also in relation to its number of inhabitants, where it's just followed by Russia. Is this something which will be dealt with, you think, in the progress report? Thank you.
Jose, so I cannot anticipate at this point in time what exactly the progress reports in the case of Albania will say with regards to pretrial detention, but obviously, as you say, that in general aspects pertaining to justice systems are on our radar and feature in the discussions that we have with the candidate countries. I wonder if Anna has anything more specific on this topic to add at this point in time, or whether he will get back to you. No, he signals me that she does, she doesn't? She does.
Well, no specific comment. I mean, as Dana said, we're obviously monitoring the situation in all the candidate countries, including when it comes to Albania. We do not have a date to announce to you at this stage when it comes to the publication of the next enlargement reports. And concretely, when it comes to the pre-detention, there's obviously a case law of the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg, which, of course, as always, we expect it to be followed. And I think that Christian had already mentioned the situation when it comes to the situation inside the EU member states and the recommendation made by the Commission, as well as the time frame that member states have to follow this up.
Thank you. Now Anna is on stage. If you have any more questions about this, Lawrence, go ahead.
Sorry to press the issue about the date, but in all seriousness, if I'm sitting in Ukraine reading European newspaper articles saying that the EU has said it should be ready and Ukraine should be ready by 2030, you say you're not going to comment on any other partner. I mean, Charles Michel is not any other partner. He's the other leading figure in the EU institutions. So is he right? Is 2030 a date that if I'm sitting in Ukraine I should take seriously? Or is it just a load of nonsense?
Thank you very much for your question, Lawrence. I have nothing to add to what I have said. I have said what is our perspective with regards to the dynamic of the enlargement process and our role, that of the European Commission, which is to work very hard with the candidate countries on preparing for accession, on depending on where they are, on the start of negotiations, on advancing in negotiations, on reforming their economies, on reforming various policies, on adapting their regulatory environment, So this is our daily job, that of the European Commission, and this is what we are focusing on. And enlargement is for us a merits-based process where candidates move at their own speed towards the European Union. Diego.
Thank you, Dana. So, since this was the President of the European Council's main announcement of the rentrée, I wondered if he coordinated it with the Commission President at any point, or was this just something that came out of his mind without discussing the idea with you? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. I'm not aware of any contacts in relation to this speech. I see another hand up in the system, and that is from Marit. Go ahead. Supposing it's about this very topic.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me well? Yes. Okay, Marit Jones for Euronews. So my question does relate to accession and actually another candidate country, which is Bosnia and Herzegovina. The European Court of Human Rights published a judgment today that concludes that elections in Bosnia and Herzegovina have been undemocratic and have amplified ethnic divisions in the country because of the privileges they give to the so-called constituent peoples. So given that it is a candidate country, and this was announced in December last year upon the recommendation of the Commission, how does the Commission react to the decision today? And what reforms does the Commission believe are necessary so that citizens can exercise their political rights without discrimination in the country? Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Many thanks for the question. So what we can say is that obviously the European Union takes note of the decision of the European Court of Human Rights in the Kovacevci case. Bosnia and Herzegovina needs to fulfill the 14 key priorities identified in the Commission's opinion of 2019 on its EU membership application in order to open EU accession negotiations. Among these, you might recall that Bosnia is called to ensure that elections are conducted in line with European standards by implementing OSCE, ODIHR and relevant Venice Commission recommendations, and ensure equality and non-discrimination of citizens, notably by addressing the Sejdic-Finci EC, the Court of Strasbourg case law, and this is the priority number 4. You might recall as well that obviously the European Council has also called on leaders to urgently finalise the pending constitutional and electoral reforms, and these should be advanced as a matter of utmost priority. The European Union, of course, remains available to support the parties in reaching a solution in line with European standards for the benefit of all citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Thank you, Anna. Any more questions for Anna on enlargement topic? Yeah, but it's for Anna. So then go ahead, David.
Thank you. It's a question on migration and more specifically on the memorandum of understanding with Tunisia. Since the memorandum was signed by the European Commission and the Tunisian authorities, the number of arrivals have quite increased. In the 6 weeks before the memorandum, the arrivals were 70,000. Now, in the 6 weeks after the memorandum, the arrivals has been 30,000. So I'm wondering if you have an assessment of what's going on with Tunisia, and if you can update us on what has been done by the European Commission to implement the memorandum until now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many thanks for the question, David. So, as you are aware, the Memorandum of Understanding was obviously signed not that long ago. We are obviously following the situation, and we take note of the efforts also between Tunisia and Libya to manage the situation at the border. You know that we have ongoing EU programs from the past where we are supporting when it comes to the protection of migrants, and obviously the different strands of the Memorandum of Understanding, to which we are committed to continuing the implementation and to move forward the implementation, will obviously need to be taken forward in line with the different rules and procedures underpinning each of the instruments that will allow for the development and for the moving forward of the different pillars of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you. David, you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. It's more political. It's a more political follow-up than a technical one. What we have seen in the last month and a half since the signing of the memorandum basically has been a persecution of sub-Saharan by the Tunisian authorities, migrants sent in the desert without water and food. Some of them died in the desert. You can read in the newspaper quite a lot of stories of sub-Saharian who were based in Tunisia since long ago that have decided to take the sea and to try to come to Europe because they fear the persecution by the Tunisian authority. So I'm wondering if you stick to your line that this memorandum with Kais Saied, after what is said and done, is the best way to approach the issue of migration, or basically the reality, what we are seeing is that Saied is just pushing migrants over Europe. Thank you.
Many thanks, Davide, for the follow-up. So I think that, as we've mentioned in the past, we think that the MOU can provide a platform for enhanced political dialogue to improve migration management in full respect of fundamental values and human rights. And as I've said, we have taken note of the efforts made to address the difficult situation of migrants in the desert between the Tunisian and the Libyan authorities. We are in contact with the Tunisian authorities, and we are coordinating, as I've said in the past, with local European and international partners on the ground, which are closely liaising with the Tunisian Red Crescent. As you may know, this is the only NGO, the only agency that is mandated to access border areas, to ensure as much as we can swift, efficient and targeted support to those in need, to provide water, food, non-food items and medical assistance. So from our perspective, our ongoing programs are contributing to international efforts to provide immediate assistance and protection to people in need. And as I said, the EU delegation is in regular contact with them and with other potential partners. And we are ready, as well as the EU, to provide support for voluntary returns from Tunisia in cooperation with UN agencies as well.
Thank you. David, another follow-up?
Apologies for the follow-up, but it was the political side that I was asking. So maybe the President of the Commission was in Tunis, and for the signing of the memorandum, she has said basically that it should be a model of cooperation with other North African countries. She has praised the cooperation by Saied and so on. So does the President of the Commission think that it was a good idea to deal with Saied, and the results that we have today are the results that she expects from Tunisia, from a political point of view? Because, again, apart from the issue of the desert, what migrants are saying, they are flying Tunisia because they fear persecution, and the only way they have to fly to escape from Tunisian persecution is coming to Europe. So, was the right decision to deal with Saied as the European Commission has done? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, David. Indeed, you have heard the reasoning including at the highest political level, because you referred to the President, on why we believed it was important and necessary to conclude a memorandum of understanding, and appropriate actually, with Tunisia. The memorandum of understanding addresses a range of issues going beyond migration. It is a type of engagement which seeks to be comprehensive and to encompass everything linked from the economy to the energy transition, to people-to-people contact, migration, and so on. We are a strategic, close partner of Tunisia. Tunisia is a very close neighbor, and we are bound to work together to address the challenges that we face together and to reap the opportunities that we have. Now you are asking us to make an assessment of how this is working barely 5 weeks after it was signed in Tunisia. Anna told you that many of the dynamics which need to be unleashed following this MOU are yet to be done, because the process needs to be set in place, and it's a process. It was just signed, and we are now in a process, and we do expect the results to come to be delivered in the mid-term. So this is it's not a quick fix arrangement that where do you expect to see operational changes from one day to another. It is a process which was set in place and which we hope to see deliver results rapidly. Anything else that you want to add, Anna, on this?
No.
Very good. Mose, on this.
This is a very brief, I think, technical question, because I think, Anna, you mentioned also before that the Tunisian Red Cross is the only NGO which is allowed, let's say, to provide aid to the migrants and so on in the desert. And I didn't understand if you think it is a kind of constraint. Why it is so? Why are not other, let's say, international organizations allowed to enter and help while they can? Thank you.
I think that this is mainly a question for the Tunisian authorities. Yes, the Tunisian Red Crescent is the only one that has access to the border region. But then, of course, IOM and UNHCR are intervening in a subsequent phase once migrants have been taken back to the capital or to other points in Tunisia to receive other types of support. So.
All right. Any more questions for Anna on this? Raf, go ahead.
Not quite sure if it's for Anna. It's a little more the migration angle, but it's the same. It's the same issue with Tunisia. In recent weeks, at least one NGO has said that Italian coordinating authorities have recommended that it take migrants rescued at sea to Tunisia, and that kind of leaves me in a black hole of misunderstanding. Has Italy notified to the Commission that it considers Tunisia to be a safe country for migrants? Does the Commission consider that an assessment is required before NGO vessels start sending people to Tunisia from sea? Thank you.
I don't have much to add. I'm looking at Anita to see if she has elements, but as you know, search and rescue is a competence by the Member States, and I believe that it's actually for the Regional Coordination Maritime Centre that takes charge of the search and rescue operation that is the one that is basically then responsible for following through the actions. So I have nothing further to add.
Thank you. David.
Is Tunisia a safe country?
We do not have EU legislation that is defining safe countries as such, and this is also a matter for the Member States to define.
David?
You have said us several times that Libya is not a safe country. How could you have said that in the past if you don't have legislation to define a safe country?
I think that this is probably also for EAS colleagues, but I think that you're very well of the context that Libya is in with fighting in the country. So I think that the context is a little bit different when we consider Libya and Tunisia.
David, the last one on this one?
Yes, because I remember quite well that you explained us that to be a safe country, you have to sign the Geneva Convention, to ratify it, to guarantee some rights to asylum seekers and migrants and so on. So I'm wondering why you are applying a double standard on Tunisia, Turkey, Libya and so on. There are public statements by the spokesperson, by the commissioner, even by some vice president in the past, clarifying that there are some conditions for the EU, not for the member states alone, but for the EU to classify a country as a third safe country. Why you are applying a double standard for Tunisia?
I have nothing further to add when it comes to the definition of safe countries. I think that, as we've mentioned, this is for the member states. Yes, I'm sorry, I have nothing further to add.
And surely, in the case of Libya, references were made to the security situation in the country. But again, our colleagues from the EAS and from Anita, they will provide complements of information on this if they have after the midday briefing. About the same topic? No. So we are ready to change topics. If it's, is it still for Anna? No? Good. So then I will free Anna and we can change topics. Yes, go ahead, Bogdan.
Thank you. Bogdan Isopescu, Radio Romania. It's a question about the Romania's and other countries, other member states' deficit. So yesterday, 3 members of the Romanian government came here to discuss the Romanian deficit, among other things. Romania wants 5.5, yes, instead 4.4. On the other hand, there are, I think, 17 member states that cannot meet this target. I want to check if the number is correct, 17 member states. And on the other hand, I want to know if has been ever this kind of situation with such big number of member states without meeting the target? Thank you. And on the third one, could you tell us about more about this meeting, yesterday meeting? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the questions, Bogdan. So this week, Dan is replacing Vele, and he is going to take all the questions which he duly noted, and he will get back to you after the midday briefing with any information that he can on the preparatory meetings and contacts with the Romanian authorities, and also on the statistics that you requested on basically what's the situation with the number of countries and budget targets. So he will dig out for you all the information that he can, and he will be back to you rapidly after the midday briefing. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Ziriana Stepanenko, Ukrainian Service of Radio Free Europe. My question concerns trade relationship between the European Union and Ukraine. As far as we remember, import ban on Ukrainian grain is due to expire on September 15th. So my question is, what kind of solutions, options European Commission is currently working on? Because as far as I remember, Agriculture Commissioner assumed that probably European Union could participate in subsidizing of transportation of Ukrainian grain to European ports. So is this option on the table? And also I would like to clarify if it would be possible we heard from Poland and also from Hungary that they are ready to extend import ban unilaterally if European Commission doesn't do it on the European level. So what kind of reaction can we expect if these measures could be applied? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all highlight that we are not talking about an import ban. As you know, these preventive measures allow for the transit of goods, so goods can still get out of Ukraine. They cannot be sold in the 5 neighboring countries, but they can pass through these countries to go to their final destination, be it in the EU or be it outside the European Union. So I think that's very important. So as I said, these measures were adopted on a temporary basis and very limited in scope, only for 4 products. They are in place until the 15th of September. In the meantime, we have in place the coordination platform that you know has met already a few times. Yesterday, precisely, we had the 7th meeting. So this is an opportunity to discuss how we can remove the existing logistical bottlenecks and improve the transit, also ensuring increased storage to ensure that the goods can continue to flow, that Ukraine can continue to export, because it's very important that we continue to show our full support and solidarity with Ukraine and make sure that they can continue trading with the world and ensure that we continue to keep up the global food security. So as I said, the meeting of the platform took place yesterday to discuss again what are the possibilities to increase the capacity of the solidarity days, what are the alternative routes, what are the financing possibilities also to improve the transport. And this is something that will continue with more frequency until the 15th of September. So we have a good system in place that can ensure that the system works efficiently.
Thank you. David, is about this? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. In the press release that you published when the temporary measures were adopted, you said clearly that those temporary measures would have been phased out the 15th of September. Is it confirmed, or do you think that it's possible to prolong again those temporary measures?
Thank you, David. I don't think we are in a position to speculate at this time. We had our clear press release where we said exactly what you said, that the preventive measures would phase out by the 15th of September. What we are doing now is to discuss with the relevant member states how we can improve the transport capacity of the solidarity lanes to make sure that the grain first can get out of Ukraine and then second can reach those countries in need.
Since we introduced those measures, the platform was at work to ensure that that the bottlenecks are eliminated and that trade is fluid and there is a good business case for Ukrainian exports from Ukraine to basically bring grain to the world and to help Ukraine export its products at the same time. And Miriam spoke to you more at length about the work of the platform. Lawrence.
Thanks. Miriam, is the Commissioner's target of 4 million tonnes going through the Danube by mid-September still realistic?
Thank you very much for that question. Indeed, a team of Commission experts will travel to the Danube region to check the corridor this week, end of this week, led by Mr. Hager, who is the head of cabinet of EBB Dombrovskis, who is in charge of this platform. And there they will have the chance to visit on the spot the corridor and to see what are the options to improve the capacity. So we still remain with a target of improving up to 4 million this corridor.
Any other questions on this? Bogdan.
Thank you. About this improving the capacity, do you mean, are you talking about Bystroye channel and some operations on this particular Danube channel? Thank you.
Indeed, the different factors that play into place. For example, one of them is the storage, as you mentioned, the transport, but it's also about the controls, because what we have noticed is that sometimes the controls take too much time, so we need to prove that they are more efficient and they can be done more swiftly so that it doesn't stay in the border for a long time. So it's a whole range of measures to make sure that the products can transit fluently through these corridors.
One more hand up remotely, and I wonder if Andrei's question is about this topic. No, he lowered his hand. Any other questions for Miriam on this? Yes, Bogdan, go ahead.
Sorry. It is about deepening this channel, bus rail channel, to the depth of the channel is included in this kind of operations on bus rail channel.
I wonder if Miriam can give you such operational details about a specific possible transport route. She referred to the bottlenecks and to the need to fluidify along many channels, many ways, and not just looking at the physical transport route itself, but also on controls and so on. So we are looking at removal bottlenecks and speeding up and improving possibilities to transport the products along the whole chain, basically, not just with regards to physical infrastructure. But I'm sure that more information will be available about this once the visit to Romania has taken place later this week. Right. Any other questions for us today? I see two more. Are they for Miriam? No. So Miriam, thank you, and let's go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go.
Lisa O'Carroll from The Guardian. It's about the UK's Suella Braverman's repeated threat to leave the European Convention of Human Rights. This came up earlier this month when the illegal migration law was passed in the UK, which threatens Chapter 3 in the Trade and Cooperation Agreement. What I want to know is whether there has been any contact since between any official within the European Commission and the Home Office, or between Ylva Johansson and Suella Braverman, and if there hasn't been, are there any plans for any conversation on this subject? Thank you.
Question, Lisa. I look at Anita, and she is coming on stage or getting back to you later? She's getting back to you later. She's checking. Diego.
Thanks. Different topic. As it stands, can you give us a timeline regarding the next steps for the appointment of the new Dutch commissioner, and give us an update if there are news regarding the portfolio? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. So I think I already confirmed last week that the President will see actually today for an interview the candidate put forward by the Dutch government. As we have done in previous occasions, we will communicate about that first discussion, so about the interview, and about the next steps which are to be taken. I can call Balázs on stage to give you a readout of what the steps normally are in the procedure, if that is useful for you, so what the process are and what happens next in general. I'm not talking specifically about this interview.
Yes, indeed. So, remarks on the procedure. So I'm just going to refer to Article 246 of the treaty, which stipulates that a vacancy caused by a resignation shall be filled for the remainder of the member's term of office by a new member of the same nationality appointed by the Council by common accord with the President of the Commission after consulting the European Parliament and in accordance with the criteria set out in the second paragraph of Article 17, paragraph 3 of the Treaty on European Union. That is the procedure.
Right, Mose.
The floor. If I'm not wrong, I think you said before we heard that the President has sent a letter last week to the Dutch government asking them to propose two candidates, one man and one woman. And now we talked about only one candidate. So will they do that?
Thank you very much for the question. So, as you know, from the beginning of this mandate, the President sought to ensure gender equality in the College of Commissioners, and this is why when she formed the College, she indeed invited every government to nominate two, a man and a woman. At this stage of our mandate, we have gender parity in the College of Commissioners, and the departing Commissioner, Mr. Timmermans, was, of course, a man, and therefore there was no necessity in this case to request two candidates for its replacement. So therefore, the Dutch government has indeed proposed just one candidate, but we didn't explicitly and formally, as in the past, requested two, for the reasons that I explained, that we have at this point in time gender equality in the College, gender parity. Any other questions about this? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Matthijs Schiffers, het Financiële Dagblad. I think you said we can expect a statement from the Commission after the interview. I was wondering, is this going to happen this afternoon, or is this going to be tomorrow? Can you tell anything about what time we can expect this statement? Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll try to be fast. I hope that we will be able to communicate this afternoon, but let's see. We'll try to proceed as fast as possible. Any other questions about this? Gregoria, go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to ask if there is a deadline for the European Parliament to arrange the Q&A session with the candidate for the Commissioner post.
Thank you, Gregoria. No, Parliament's process is all in Parliament's hands, so what we can is, and what is our role, is to indeed propose to the two other institutions to approve and to appoint, but we are not in control of their processes, so I would invite you to get in touch with them to clarify what is their calendar on this. Any other questions? Go ahead, Lionel.
Lionel Arte, dans la mesure où justement le Parlement, c'est dans les mains du Parlement, mais il faut quand même que la Commission, enfin que la présidente de la Commission propose un portefeuille notamment. Enfin, est-ce que cette annonce devrait être rapide ou on peut attendre? Est-ce qu'il y a un délai pour ça justement, puisque le Parlement ne pourra pas se prononcer tant qu'il n'y aura pas une proposition de la Commission sur le candidat désigné?
Merci beaucoup pour la question, Lionel. Il n'y a pas de délai écrit dans les procédures pour autant que je sache, et là je le confirme. Mais si tu regardes les cas précédents, nous avons procédé vite. Donc nous avons l'intention de procéder vite, et ensuite ce sera pour le Parlement de lancer ses propres procédures internes. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions pour nous aujourd'hui? I see a few more on other topics. Yes, so let's go.
Thank you, Dana. I would like to come back to the starting point of today's midday, your announcement on the agenda of the President. I suppose that the Commission services are already working on the speech of the Union. I would like to know if the President, Ursula von der Leyen, will give us the honor, the nearly 1,000 accredited European journalists based in Brussels, to come before delivering in Strasbourg a speech of the Union to take the questions of the media here in Brussels. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I cannot give you any date for the next wide-ranging press conference by the President with European media and the press room, but your interest is duly noted, and we will make sure to ensure that there will be such opportunities in the near future. Lawrence.
Thanks. Donna, when is the European Commission still going to come up with a plan for the frozen Russian assets? And if so, when? Thanks.
Christian, do you have any details? As you know, this is a matter which is important for us. The work on immobilized Russian assets has been proceeding, and now I wonder if Christian has anything more specific with regards to the timing.
Yeah, hi Lawrence. Good to see you around. Look, I don't have a particular update. I mean, I can remind a bit of the process. You know, the leaders discussed this topic at the last European Council, 29th of June. We are working with the Spanish presidency in exploring a stepwise approach, and we are supporting the discussions. We have also sent a paper to that effect to the Spanish presidency at the end of July, and we stand ready to present a legal proposal taking into account the discussions with the member states. Intensive outreach is also taking place with our G7 partners, as it's also very important for us to coordinate this internationally.
Lawrence?
Thanks, Christian. Just to be clear then, the Commission it does still plan to present a proposal. It's not leaving this now to the Spanish presidency and the member states.
Yes, as I said, we stand ready to present a legal proposal taking into account the discussions that are ongoing.
Thank you. I see a few more questions planned remotely. Let's take quickly yours because you didn't have a chance to ask any question today. And then I need to go back online to the colleagues waiting there.
Thank you. Silvian Trandafir from DG24 Romania. In the European Union, there are several countries that have incurred additional expenses. Aid for Ukraine, both directly and indirectly, an increase in defense budget given the context of the war in Ukraine. So, considering this situation, is the Commission open to the idea of not including these expenses in the calculation of the final budget in this country?
Thank you so much for your question, which pertains to this subject, which was also launched by Dan, and we understand this is also referring to the situation of Romania, and Dan will also get back to you together with the answer to Bogdan just after this midday briefing. And right now I'm going online because 4 colleagues have been waiting there for a long time, actually 5. So Andrei.
Hello, do you hear me? Great. I would like to ask for a comment on the Russian Influence Investigation Committee. Political parties can nominate the candidates until the end of the day. The committee is due to start work next week. Does the Commission intend to respond to that? What could be the next steps? I remember that 1 month ago, after the adoption of the amendment, you said that there are still great concerns about this law.
Thank you so much, Andrei. And here is Christian.
Thank you, Andrei. I left too fast. Let me remind you that we have an ongoing infringement here relating to the special committee, and Commissioner Reinders sent a letter to the Polish Europe Minister Walczak on 21st of July regarding the law on the special committee. In this letter, the Commissioner made clear that even if the amendments to the law aim to bring a number of improvements, the law as amended would continue to raise serious concerns as regards its compliance with EU law if the committee becomes operational and launches checks or proceedings in the context of the forthcoming elections. For this reason, we urge the Polish authorities not to take such steps in the context of elections. This is what was expressed in this letter. So it also said that should the committee move to act in the context of the forthcoming elections, the Commission will not hesitate to take the next step in the infringement procedure. So we made our position, I think, very clear in this context, and are, of course, following closely the developments.
Thank you. Any other questions on this case? Andy, you have your hand up, so let's see if it's about this.
Yes, just going back to the commissioner appointment, Dana, you mentioned that a man is obviously being replaced with a man. So if Executive Vice President Vestager was to leave, would the Danes have to nominate a woman to keep the gender balance? Thanks.
Thank you, Andy. We are not speculating on any other college members leaving their post for the moment, but the objective of maintaining gender parity will remain until the end of this college mandate. Any other questions on Poland? No, I don't see that. I have two more questions online, and then I will get back to you and to you. Anne-Laure.
Oui, bonjour, est-ce que vous pouvez m'entendre?
Oui, ça va, vas-y.
Oui. Alors, Anne-Laure Mondésert de l'AFP, j'ai une question, je pense, pour Johannes. C'est à propos d'une étude de la Commission dont fait état contexte et qui a été apparemment publiée puis dépubliée, selon laquelle 6 plateformes ont été inefficaces dans la lutte contre la désinformation russe. Je voulais savoir s'il s'agissait de l'évaluation du code de pratique contre la désinformation et pourquoi est-ce que cette évaluation avait été dépubliée et quand est-ce qu'on pouvait s'attendre à sa publication. Merci.
Bonjour alors, merci pour la question. Je peux confirmer que voilà, la DG Connect a demandé cette étude d'une organisation externe. L'étude n'est pas prête, elle a été publiée par hasard et a été déployée de suite. Donc je ne peux pas commenter sur l'étude qui n'est pas publique à ce stade. Elle est toujours analysée et finalisée et donc c'est tout ce que je peux dire aujourd'hui à ce sujet.
Merci beaucoup. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions pour Johannes sur les aspects digitaux? Alors, vas-y, question de suivi.
Oui, je voulais savoir quand serait publiée l'évaluation sur le code de lutte contre la désinformation. Merci.
Tu parles de la code de conduite contre la désinformation. Là, on attend les rapports, les prochains rapports vers la fin de septembre, mi-septembre, fin septembre. Donc, ce sera le moment de prendre note des développements depuis les dernières publications. Et donc, il n'y a pas un rapport en soi de la Commission là-dessus. C'est les rapports des plateformes, en fait, qui vont être publiés. Oui, signataires, pas seulement les plateformes. Ouais.
Oui. Merci. Peihoa, your turn now.
France announcement to ban this Muslim girl women's dress called abaya from public schools. Is this in line with the EU values or rules? Because the proponents argue this is a religious symbol should be banned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is one for Christian, who is back on the podium for the third time today.
All right. Thanks for your question. So we have seen the reports on France's decision. Let me just clarify that legislation on wearing of religious clothing in public is for member states to determine, subject to the supervision of national courts and the European Court of Human Rights, as we have held also in other cases. Member states have adopted different approaches on this matter, and the European Court of Human Rights affords them a wide margin of appreciation on questions regarding the relationship between state and religions.
Thank you. Any other questions for Christian on this subject? I think that Behua may have a follow-up question. His hand is still up, so let's take that.
I don't know why, but anyway, I want to actually ask: do you think this is a religious dress, or just some would say this is just traditional dress, like you see around the world?
Christian or I, we don't have an opinion on this. We just gave you the answer regarding the situation, considering the possibilities or the flexibilities of the member states to take action under the circumstances that Christian mentioned in this respect. But we will refrain from saying anything else in the direction that you invited us to. Any other topics for us today? Yes, Bogdan. May not be for Christian, but as you are the last one.
Thank you. It's a question on energy and national budgets. So the Commission expects that the Member States to end the measures on energy prices till the 1st of January. I want to check if this is a must or a recommendation, and if the Member States have some options to keep this kind of measures. Thank you.
This would be for Ariana, and in his absence, here is Dan. You couldn't escape it today.
Exactly. Thanks, Bogdan, for that question. Let me run through a little bit the rules and what we said in the past about the subsidies in the energy sector and the temporary crisis and transition frameworks. So a few different points I'll go through step by step. So for now we're seeing that wholesale prices are back to pre-crisis levels, and even if retail prices are going down slower, the Commission encourages Member States to phase out support. Now, if an extension of support measures would be necessary because of renewed energy pressures, Member States should aim at more targeted measures. Now, let me walk you through a little bit the temporary crisis and transition framework, which was adopted in March this year to foster support measures in sectors which are key for the transition to a net zero economy in line with the Green Deal industrial plan. And the new framework amends and prolongs in part the temporary crisis framework, which was adopted in March 2022 to enable Member States to use the flexibility foreseen under state aid rules to support the economy in the context of Russia's war against Ukraine. Now, the provisions of the framework, which are aimed at providing a more immediate crisis response following Russia's aggression against Ukraine, are applicable until the 31st of December 2023. And this is here now where we come to the main part of your question. On the 20th of July this year, the Commission addressed a survey to Member States to seek their views on the expiry of these sections of the framework. And this follows the Commission's Spring 2023 economic forecast, which has shown an improved economic outlook, in particular in relation to energy prices, as the renewed price pressures similar to the levels experienced in 2022 are considered unlikely. Now, the remainder, finally, of the framework is currently foreseen to remain in place until the 31st of December 2025, and this concerns measures accelerating the rollout of renewable energy and energy storage, measures facilitating the decarbonisation of industrial processes, and measures to accelerate investments in key sectors for the transition towards a net zero economy. Finally, I would just underline that the Commission is continuously monitoring the economic developments and the application of the temporary crisis and transition framework, and stands ready to swiftly respond in the event of any new crisis situation. Member States will, as always, be closely consulted. So that's what I would have to say in terms of the various different actions that we've taken over the past months and years in this area.
Thank you, Dan. Any other questions for Dan today? Go ahead.
Thanks, Sabina Rosettanza. What happens if the reform of the Stability and Growth Pact will not be approved by the year end? And is there a possibility of another extension of the general escape clause? Thank you.
These are Dan's favorite questions. What happens if? Highly hypothetical, so just...
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, Sabina. I'm going to stick to what we have said consistently before in the press room and elsewhere. So, swift agreement on revising the EU's fiscal rules and other elements of the economic governance framework is a priority at the current juncture for the EU economy. The Council, and also in conclusions endorsed by the European Council, has called for the legislative work in this area to be concluded in 2023. So as a result, the Commission, as we've said before, calls on the European Parliament and the Council to reach agreement on the proposals presented in April this year as quickly as possible, so as to adequately respond to the challenges ahead. And so adoption by the end of this year, by the end of 2023, would allow Member States and the Commission to discuss draft plans in the first half of 2024.
Thank you very much. Sabina has a follow-up question.
So the no approval is not an option, but are you worried that if there will be not an agreement, indeed, there could be a turmoil on the markets on sovereign debt? Thank you.
No, I'm not going to speculate or comment on that, Sabina. I would just recall that swift agreement on this file is a priority at this current juncture.
Thank you so much. I believe this ends the pipeline of questions that you had for us today. Oh, no, there is George having a question. Let's take that and then conclude.
Hi, Dana. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Great. I have a broad questions about principles and values, so maybe it's for you. I wonder if you could, if you had any comments or reflections to share with us regarding the biggest story for the past 7 days, the controversy regarding Luis Rubiales, president of the Spanish Football Federation, and his non-consensual kiss of Jenny Hermoso during the World Cup. Do you think Mr. Rubiales should resign, as many organizations and political parties have demanded? And are you concerned about the reputational damage that his defiant attitude, his denunciation of feminism might inflict on European sports as a whole? Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. The first answer to this is that we congratulate the Spanish team for their victory. That was an amazing and beautiful moment. Second thing is this is not for Dan, so Dan, you can leave, and then I will invite Christian for the fourth time on the podium today.
Yeah, 3 times the charm, 4th time I'm not sure. But thank you for your question, Jorge. Look, I don't have too much to say on the incident you mentioned. This is not a matter for the Commission to comment on. We have seen, in particular on your question whether the person should resign, we have seen the media reports. We are of course aware of the debate around this issue. We are also aware that there appears to be now a preliminary investigation into this case. So this is a matter for the national authorities.
Thank you so much. David.
Yes, thank you. The Commission has a Vice President for European values, which is also responsible for sport. So I'm wondering how it's possible that you don't have a position on this.
Thank you very much. I think Christian said what is our stance on this. Christian can recall you what is our position on gender issues in general, but on this specific incident which happened at that moment, we do not have a position as an institution, and we trust that the Spanish authorities and the Spanish society handle the issue accordingly. I think that concludes this